The views expressed on this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of John Hersey High School or District 214.
Actually, not only one, but I actually brought my first two puppets at a place that I don't think is no longer around, but it could exist in some locations. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, I do.
Had you ever heard of World Markets?
Oh, yeah.
That was where I got my first two puppets. Well, it all started when me, my uncle, one of my uncles, and my aunt were at World Markets. I was at a section with toys, and I found, I think it was a display or a box of puppets in a section. Rainbow, who is the leader of Rainbow and his Puppet Gang, is actually one of my first two. And actually, when I first got Rainbow, I didn't actually have him officially named Rainbow Sock Puppet at the time.
What do you like about puppets?
Well, how they're like sometimes you can develop voices. They might be like developing kids projects, stuff like that.
So, are any of your puppets there more reflective of you? Do you have an alter ego in your puppets?
Well, my alter ego I would consider is Rainbow because he's the first, one of the first, and he became the most often puppet I perform.
Okay.
That's why he's the leader of Rainbow and his Puppet Gang.
How are you and Rainbow alike?
Well, sometimes he's kind of like me a little bit, like trying to go through the situation of time, and he gets mad when someone doesn't do it his way, and or when someone is with him and bothers him. I'm Warren Burdin. I'm a senior at John Hersey High School, and I'm a puppet performer.
This is the ARCLight Podcast, illuminating the stories that make us who we are. Produced by the Academic Resource Center at John Hersey High School.
Welcome to the ARCLight Podcast. I am Bruce Janu, Hersey's librarian. Warren Burdin is a senior here at Hersey. He connected with me last year when I came to Hersey with this guy, Mr. B. Mr. B is my puppet. We have a slight resemblance, but I do not consider myself a puppeteer or anything. He's more of just a gimmick, a mascot, if you will, for the library. He basically sits in the window all day, but Warren was taken by him because Warren is a puppet performer. Here in the library, we made a radio episode of a show Warren wrote called Rainbow and his Puppet Gang. Warren spends a lot of time here in the library, and I asked him to join me on the podcast. Warren is a fascinating person with a very touching story, and I thought more people should know him. This is the first of our podcasts that is also being delivered in video format. So if you are listening right now but would like to see Warren and me and our puppets, you can watch on Spotify or go to herseyarc.org to find the link to our video on our YouTube channel. So here is Warren talking about his life and his puppets. I've met 4 of your puppets.
Yes, they were the 4 puppets that I showed you, which are Rainbow Sock Puppet, Zap the Sock Puppet, Dylan and Scorch the Sock Puppet. They were like the idea is they were my official puppets for the Rainbow and his Puppet Gang puppets. I got, after when I got Rainbow along with Blackbird, I mostly used them to create some videos of like having them lip sync their voices of Bert and Ernie. The Rainbow one played Ernie and Blackbird played Bert.
Okay.
Blackbird puppet, who was a crow type puppet. So I started getting these puppets since I think April or May of 2018. I was going through a room upstairs with some, I think it was my grandmother and grandfather's room. I actually found a camcorder, a cassette camcorder. And my uncle and I were able to get it to work on that on a TV downstairs. And ever since then, along with ordering a couple new cassettes without any already filmed footage, like ordering blank cassettes, I was able to develop what would become my best known project. And that's how puppet films began. My first ever puppet films episode that I made on the camcorder is called Puppet Tricks. So after making Puppet Tricks, I started making other puppet film episodes.
Hello again. I hope Sydney's invisible gum of hers didn't create any chaos. Guess what day it is? It's Valentine's Day.
It's a sunny day, we got some time to stay. Hey, 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 and everything's okay. It's a sunny day, we got some time to stay. Hey, 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 and everything's okay. Hey, 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 and everything's okay.
Oh, it's located at Random Street Drive, Random Street Road. I'll see you later, everyone. Good night.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
I don't have a YouTube channel
Okay.
or a social media channel because I'm not much of a social media person. I'm kind of into the vintage things
Yeah.
because I thought social media a lot of people do on social media is a lot of like brutal, cruel, offensive things, and compared to like watching movies from like, let's say, I started to become interested in classic movies from the 30s, like the humor in the people from then compared to today are completely different.
So what are your favorite movies from your classic movies that you watch?
You heard of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers,
I
right?
sure have, yes. They dance.
Yes. One of my movies that made me laugh a little bit, and it gets me chuckling when I think about it is, and probably not so many people heard of this movie these days. Have you ever seen the movie Shall We Dance?
I think I have.
It's from 1937 or 8, and I can't tell you all of it, but one thing they did do is in a scene they sing that song entitled "Let's Call the Whole Thing Off."
Right.
Had you heard of it?
I have, yes. I know that song.
You say banana, you say banana.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
Banana, banana, tomato,
Tomato.
Let's call the whole thing off.
Yeah. Do you find like the puppets are also a way to just kind of like deal with things in your own life?
Yes. But can I give a little shout out to some of my relatives?
Sure. Go ahead.
Especially the ones that I lost.
Okay.
Now, I had some parents that I know of who actually been lost this year. I'll start off with my grandmother and my grandfather. The grandmother's name is Sharon Sanick,
Okay.
who is the mother of my two uncles and my mother. Along with the grandfather, his name is Robert Sanick.
Okay.
Lost him in the 2010s. Well, my grandmother passed away first due to bone cancer back in 2011, along with Robert Sanick, who was my grandfather, passed away in 2014 due to pancreatitis. And a year later, in April, I actually lost my mother. Can I tell you what her name is?
Please.
Her name is Lisa Burdin,
Okay.
who now I used to have a mother and a father, but due to according to my uncle, my father was having like problems with himself. It led to the divorcement. And that's where I started living in the house where my uncles and my mother lived. Well, sadly, I lost my mother on April 21st of 2015 due to her cause was sleep apnea. Did you want to know how I realized it?
Okay.
Well, when I was leaving for school, at the time it was elementary, I said bye to her a little loud, and I thought I disturbed her and woke her up. But she was actually what I thought was asleep deeply, but I had no idea she wasn't alive at the time.
I'm sorry you had to deal with that.
I know
that's tough.
It's really hard to let someone go like that.
It is.
You probably heard of the Queen Elizabeth, right?
Yeah, I've heard.
Well, for coincidence, my father actually passed away on the same day as the Queen passed.
Oh, no kidding.
I know, it's surprising, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, where did your dad live?
He lived in Wheeling.
Oh, okay. Did you see him much?
Well, when the pandemic started, not so much.
Oh, but before that,
Yes.
you saw him more
every other weekend on
every
Saturday.
other weekend. Wow.
I used to wait for my grandmother to come, and then we would go to his house, and then we go to McDonald's. Well, I used to go on that play place there.
Yeah.
And then Burger King now, and then we went to Walmart to get my next DVDs, and sometimes Target if we don't find anything.
So that was kind of like your routine, that you would go to his place for the weekend?
Yes. I don't think I told you what my father's name is,
Oh,
right?
no, you didn't. Well, what's his name?
His name is Ken.
Oh, Ken.
Or Kenneth for long, but Ken for short. Ken Burdin. I know it's a sad thing to think about, but we can't live with our loved ones forever.
No, we can't. Do you find your puppets, because you've been through a lot,
Yes.
right? Do you find your puppets help you with
Yes.
that?
Yes, they're like my support.
What do you think your mom and dad would think if they saw you performing your puppets?
They would get a little bit emotional and be happy for me.
Oh, yeah. What do you mean they would get a little bit emotional? Emotional with happiness?
Yes.
Yeah. And why do you think that is?
Well, from going to a normal kid to becoming famous. Well, not famous yet, but hopefully famous soon.
Yeah. And you're on your way, right?
Yes.
So which puppet helps you the most?
Well, I never thought of which puppet helps me the most. Maybe any puppet. Mostly
Okay.
the puppets I perform the most these days,
Okay, and which one do you perform the most?
which is Rainbow, of course.
How about, shall we meet Rainbow? Hi, Rainbow!
Hello again, Mr. B.
How are you?
Good.
So, how was your day?
My day was great.
So, who is your best friend?
I can't think of a good best friend to have, but I'll just say I have met a lot of friends in my life. Okay.
All right, so this is Rainbow.
Yes.
He's kind of the head of the Rainbow Puppet Gang.
Rainbow and his
And
puppet.
his puppet gang. So it's his puppet gang. How are you and Rainbow alike?
Let's see. Well, he talks a little like me. He's serious like me. So I make him do things that's similar in my way.
Does he problem solve like you do? Does he deal with things the way you deal with them? Yeah? Like how so? What's his personality like?
Can I tell you about Rainbow?
Yeah.
I haven't had much thought myself, but I do work at a theater. Want to hear it?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Molly's Theater Incorporated?
No.
Well, it's located at Random Street Drive, Random Street Road.
Random Street Drive on Random Street Road?
Oh, you'll know it once you get there.
How will I know?
Looking at the street signs. It's not a real street. I just made it up.
Do you often make things up? Oh, so how do we know when you're telling the truth?
I don't know.
All right, so who else do we have? So that's Rainbow. Who else?
No.
How about Zap?
Yes, because he's part
Yeah,
of it.
let's meet Zap.
Okay.
I like Zap. Mr. B likes Zap, apparently. Oh yeah, I love his cape.
Have we met before?
Yeah, a little bit. So, are you a superhero, Zap? So, what are your superpowers?
Oh, I just fly.
You fly. How faster than a speeding bullet? Oh, can you leap tall buildings in a single bound? What? I think he's Superman.
How did you know my inspiration? Okay.
Okay.
Can I show you all the other puppets?
Yeah. I think who's next? We've got Dylan, right? Is that Dylan? I like your tie, Dylan. Why do you wear a tie?
That's how I was designed of.
Oh, okay. So what's your favorite thing to do, Dylan?
Hang out with Scorch, of course.
Oh, and who's Scorch?
My friend.
Okay. Can we meet Scorch too?
Yes.
Scorch is on her way right now as we speak. Scorch. Oh, there we go. There's Scorch. Hi, Scorch.
Hi, director. What's your name?
My name is Mr. Janu.
Just for fun, can you bring Mr. B in just to meet these puppets? And
I can. I'm back. Hello.
Now, who do you call?
I'm Mr. B.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. And you are Scorch?
Yes, and it's him in the supplement. Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Dylan. You got glasses like me.
Is your vision 2020?
No.
I don't actually know. It's a type of vision if you want to know.
Yeah, well, 2020 vision is good vision. My vision's not 2020 myself. Neither is mine.
Oh, I thought it was a normal thing people have.
You're graduating in May, right?
Yeah, that's when I'll be graduating.
So what are your plans though after?
So I'm definitely going to go to college for sure, which is Harper College.
Okay.
I'll try to find a way to get my puppets involved because I really don't want to. I mean, it's okay if I appear in like non-puppet productions, but I'd rather hang out with them because they make me feel more my thing.
And maybe you'll find other people that do puppets as well. Because I don't know of anyone else at the school here that does puppets like you do.
Well, I don't mean to get a little personal, but you're married, right?
Yes.
So I was thinking, I don't know how your wife looks like, but the England person should have made a puppet of her.
Of her?
Like, and
I don't know if my wife wants a puppet of herself.
But if she does, you can.
Not too many people want puppets of themselves.
Well, if she does, you can or she can call it Mrs. B.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. So, anything else you want to add before we call it a day?
I can't think of anything else. Can we think of a goodbye?
Sure.
Now, let's say, you say you've been listening, let's say you've been listening to this episode.
Okay. You've been listening to the ARCLight Podcast. I am Hersey's librarian, Bruce Janu.
And I'm Warren Burdin. Goodbye.
Take care, folks. Stay out of the trees.
And bring a wabbit's foot if you could.
A special thanks to Warren for sharing his story with us today. If you would like to listen to Warren's first episode of Rainbow and His Puppet Gang, you can find that on HerseyArc.org. Warren will be off to college soon, and we wish him the best of luck and hope to see him and his puppets soon. This episode was edited and produced by me, Bruce Janu. If you have any suggestions for future episodes, or you have or know a great story to tell on the ARCLight Podcast, reach out to me at bruce.janu@d214.org. Review our podcast in your favorite podcast app. That helps us get more listeners. Subscribe wherever you may listen. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, literally anywhere and everywhere you listen to podcasts. And remember, this was a special video episode, so you could watch that on Spotify or at HerseyArc.org. All music in this podcast was licensed through Audio Blocks. via Bell Book and Camera Productions. Until next time, thanks for listening.